So I want to walk you through developing a curriculum module for your community agency. So take a look at the list of components or criteria that will be involved in this. The cover page, the dedication to the agency, the list of the cohort members. I think that's self-explanatory whenever you look at the template. The topic would be the first thing that I'll address. So let's say we want to cover in a module of curriculum the topic of stress. So stress is the topic for this curriculum module. A description of the topic is just a couple of sentences saying what we're going to cover. So maybe the description would be something like, in this module, we will address the pros and cons of stress, the definition of stress, and ways to cope with stress. So that's a good definition, a description of the topic. Then a couple of objectives are measurable things that a person can take away. So an objective for this stress module might be participant will evaluate their personal stress level. That's a great objective. You can measure that because you'll have some kind of tool in the content where a person actually can evaluate their stress level. Then the 1 to 2 pages of content, that is educational information. So going back to the description of the module that I'm talking about, the stress module. So we will have then for content, the lesson, if you will, the educational component is we'll have what stress means, like what definition of stress. Then we'll have a list of pros and cons of stress. And then after that, we'll have a list of ways to reduce stress. So, and that information doesn't have to be original. You can pull that information from any kind of resource. You just need to make sure that you have cited the resource that you're pulling that from. So your information doesn't have to be original content. No one's having to make anything up. You just need to pull it together to put it into a curriculum form for the agency. Then the next thing is a handout. So a great handout with that topic of stress would be like the warning signs of negative stress, or maybe a handout of tips to reduce stress. Be a great handout, something for a participant ideally to take home with them and have it to be useful to them in their life. And then an activity. A great activity for this topic would be to have the stress rating scale in there. There are several online. I think there's a Holmes stress scale, and have that as an activity. So ideally you'd be educating a group of people about stress. Then you would give them some sort of a takeaway to take home, like the couple of handout ideas I had. And then in the group for an activity, they would all get the little rating scale, and they would rate themselves, and then maybe talk about the ratings of where they are personally with stress. Then references. Just make sure that you do, like I said, it doesn't have to be original information, but make sure that you do cite it on a reference page. The social media snippet. So let's take this stress again, this stress topic. So you see on social media sometimes like just a heading that kind of grabs your attention, and then the content for which is pretty straight to the point. So here the heading might be 10 ways to decrease your stress level. And then just a list, from all the content that you've already put together on this topic, you'll have enough information to create something like a top 5, a top 10 list. And this is something like, 1, exercise, 2, drink plenty of water, 3, spend 10 minutes a day in meditation. It's just a real quick snippet thing that your agency then can make use of, because they'll put it on their social media website if they choose. And you also can be credited for creating it if you put the content together, and you can give it to them that way. And then the information for the course and for the department and all of that, everything there is already listed in your template. I put a few optional things like an assignment or some other resources. Feel free, if you have some content that you come along, you come up on whenever you're creating your curriculum and you think that's really beneficial, but it doesn't necessarily fit in with the outline idea I had for this this module, and but you think it's something that should also kind of be fitting in there, so someone could use it as a resource or just kind of a FYI kind of thing. Feel free to put that in there. So I hope that helps. I hope that you kind of have an idea now how I'm kind of picturing this in my mind. And please feel free to email me if you have specific questions whenever you decide on your 2 topics for your modules of curriculum, and I would be happy to get back with you.